Now we're working. Okay.
Right.
Phew. As I was saying to Janelle off camera, or maybe it was on camera, who knows? I was getting so confident with everything working. Welcome back to Mighty Blaze. We barely left and here we're back. And it's pub day, pretty things. I have this book to hold up. I'm so excited. Hi, Janelle Brown. Oh, and Janelle's got the real thing. I've got the advanced copy. I remember when this arrived. I mean, I've so loved Watch Me Disappear. So when I was like, oh my goodness, Janelle has a new book, and it is gorgeous. And I'm very excited on behalf of A Mighty Blaze to welcome you here this afternoon on Pub Day.
Thank
Janelle, you're welcome. Let me intro you. Janelle Brown is the New York Times bestselling author of Watch Me Disappear, All We Ever Wanted Was Everything, and This Is Where We Live. An essayist, journalist, she has written for Vogue, the New York Times, Elle, Wired, Self, and the Los Angeles Times, Salon, and numerous other publications. She lives in Los Angeles with her husband and their 2 children, and it's such a treat to see you. The last time Janelle and I were talking, I was at her home. We had this awesome live event, and now here we are, separated just by, you know, the coasts, but virtually together. Congratulations on your pub day, Janelle.
Thank you. Yay.
Go to JanelleBrown.com and find her on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You've got to see the video you shot of when your books arrived and you cleaned them off. Was hilarious.
I got in trouble for that because apparently I didn't quite do it perfectly. So you know, so basically for those who haven't seen it, my husband, who's a director, we made a funny little video of me unboxing my new books when they came out.
Right.
And you know, I put on the face mask, I put on the gloves, I got my Lysol wipes, and I went out and I scrubbed the boxes, and we made it very funny. But then what happened is when I opened the boxes, I got so excited that I forgot to take gloves off before I picked up the book and took off my mask. And so all of the nurses and I know were like, "What are you doing? You just cross-contaminated." And I was like, "Oh God!" But it was kind of supposed to be funny more than it was supposed to be a lesson in how to open a box of books.
You know, it's funny, I didn't watch it in that same way. I just thought, like, this is so clever and adorable, but figures, like, you just, you know, somebody's going to point that out. And did you say, like, no, that was a fake, that wasn't even a real box? Or like, you know, I had it done right. We just wanted to see if you were paying attention.
No, I apologize. I said, please don't look at me for actual medical or safety protocols, please.
A disclaimer, I write psychological thrillers. I'm going to mess you up from the get-go.
Exactly. That'd be a good premise, right? For our next book.
Well, I do wonder, and when you're writing psychological thrillers and the what ifs and where your mind can go. So, you know, I always wonder if that's something where this whole part of our history is going to wind up, not specifically in a book, but books will be informed by. But it's out today. It's the most gorgeous cover, pretty thin.
It's even prettier and when you get it in like the kind of glossy with the like embossed. Yeah.
I have the loser copy, but it came out. It's beautiful nonetheless.
Thank you.
It smells good too, and there's nothing like a real book. Go to JanelleBrown.com for more information. You've got to check out her video where she totally does everything wrong, but it's so well met and it's hilarious. And I'm so excited to share this today with everybody. And so you didn't imagine, even, you know, writing psychological thrillers, this wasn't on your mind, I'm sure, for Pub Day. So at what point did you think things are going to look a little different right now?
You know, I think around the time, so about 2 months ago, I went out to Atlanta and on part of a pre-publication tour where I was meeting booksellers. And while I was in Atlanta was when all this stuff started going down. And I remember on the flight there, on the flight back too, I actually had a face mask because I was starting to get paranoid. And as I was flying back, I was like, I have a bad feeling about this. But I still wasn't like, you know, I still was assuming that that I, you know, I had all these events, and that by the end of April we'd be okay. I'd be on my, I was supposed to be on a plane yesterday going to New York. I was supposed to be in New York today. I was supposed to be in San Francisco on Friday. You know, I was supposed to have a big launch party in LA next week, plus the LA Times Festival of Books.
Yes.
Anyway, all this stuff I thought it was going to be happening, and I think up until about 3 weeks ago, I still thought there was a possibility I might be able to do some of it, and then I think, yeah, probably about the time we went into quarantine, about a month ago.
Quarantine was, excuse me, quarantine was like heads up. And it's interesting, just the way you're describing being in Atlanta, because I was in Florida February 24th to the 28th. And that's when, I remember when I got on the plane to come home, I didn't think of a face mask, but I did think I'm gonna go home and start buying hand sanitizer, toilet paper, and those sort of things.
Yeah.
And we did an event March 9th with Lily King. Everyone's probably sick of hearing me say that, but we did that event live, and that was like the last day.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of weeks, and then, you know, everything as it's unfolded. And I know the LA, all the book festivals, all of it, which is where A Mighty Blaze stepped in and said, like, we're going to interview so many authors and just shine a light on all of these books. So watching book people get into action is really an amazing thing.
It's been really heartening. I mean, I've been really heartened by both the support that I've been seeing and all these kind of creative new outlets that people are finding for book promotion, but that just like the love. I mean, I'm on Instagram a lot, and have kind of over the last couple of years gotten involved in the Bookstagram community, and the amount of support that I'm seeing right now from people who love books on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook too is just overwhelming. I mean, it truly, like, you know, like I get up in the morning and I look and I have like 100 messages, and it just makes me want to cry. I'm like, you guys are beautiful. Thank you.
I'm so happy to hear that, because really the book community, and we say it all the time, book people, it's such an authentic, deep need to read and connect about the books we love and to share our favorite authors. So it's real, you know, it means something. And I have been witnessing that all over the place, and people, we want writers to keep writing. We want bookstores to do well. We want all of this to continue, because it's so vital and necessary to the part of, you know, one of the parts of life that fills us, you know. So when you see people sort of, and there's so many places to help and fill in and all of that, and people are doing what they can do, and the book community has a lot to be proud of. And so, yeah, I'm glad. And how do you answer all those? Like, do you go, what is your method? Because it is overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming. I mean, let me tell you the day. So you know that Nicole Kidman optioned the book to be an Amazon series, and they made that announcement about 2 weeks ago. I think it was two and a half weeks ago. It came out at Deadline in big press release, and then it was everywhere. And I swear, like, I was getting so many messages from all directions at all times, and I was trying to, and I want to answer everybody. I really do. Like, every single person who says congratulations, like, I feel like they reached out to me. I want to respond. But literally, I was like, I'm like typing on one hand on like a computer, my phone. I'm like on the, you know, like I can't keep up. And today's kind of like that too. Pub day on a day like this, like it's also been. I woke up this morning and immediately there's just nothing else. I'm not doing any writing today, put it that way.
And it is such a, you know, it's one of the things that really connects readers to writers, is that connection of reaching out and getting a message, which, you know, however many years ago didn't exist. You might have written a letter, it might have gone to the publisher. I mean, back in the day, you might have gotten, you know, but now there's so many ways to communicate.
Oh no.
What's the matter? I still see you. Are you losing me? Oh no.
You froze. You froze. No, you're back. You're back. You're back.
I froze in a decently flattering position, because that's when you do a podcast, is if the audio freezes, which it actually doesn't, nobody can see. But you know, I don't know, sometimes if we're watching something and, you know, you freeze frame the show so you can do something important like get something to eat, you could just make the actor look awful, but not on purpose, but you're like, wow, look at that view. So I apologize in advance for however I did freeze there. But yeah, wanting to create a community by being responsive is such a wonderful thing to be able to do. It also is such a time drain.
It can be, yeah.
Hard to know how much of that, you know, it means so much to anybody who gets a response, but I can appreciate that it's it's quite a lot. And what's going on at home? How are the kids doing with the distant learning? And
Oh, you know, it's been a real challenge. I mean, we're very, very lucky that have our health. All of our family has our health. We've had a couple friends who've gotten sick, but no one's ended up in the hospital. So we feel like, I think we locked down so early in Los Angeles. I mean, it's been closing in on 6 weeks that we've been home now.
yes,
So because of that, we're kind of a little protected. But I mean, the kids are struggling. They're doing very well considering, but they're hitting that wall. They don't get enough exercise. They miss their friends. They're being homeschooled, which my teachers are fantastic. I'm blown away by the teachers at their school and what they're doing. But there's still a lot of like, I have to do hand holding in between. I'm like, sure, they just got off their Zoom, but now my son needs me to teach him how to add money together. My daughter's like, can you help me write a poem? I need to write I don't even know, like acrostic poem. I'm like, what's an acrostic poem? I'm like going back to elementary school with them in order to teach them.
Right. It's such a interesting and bizarre time in the way we'll reflect on this and the history of what's being done and how like siblings are helping each other or what parents are relearning or where our patience levels are at. I think all of that's really fascinating. And I've had the pleasure of meeting your children and they're adorable.
Yes.
They really are. And like 5 or 6 weeks of that, I can, it's just everything is upside down. In the middle of it, Pretty Things is out. And so you try to like put this hat on, that hat on, and go to JanelleBrown.com and follow her on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and to find out, I mean, like really awesome news. Nicole Kidman. That's all I've been doing is watching either Netflix or movies or TV series. I feel like everything is either by Nicole Kidman or she's in it or, one of them. It's, to be attached to that is obviously huge. Any more information that you want to share about that?
We're just getting going on it, so I don't have that much to share, but
I didn't want
it's a long, slow process, but I'm gonna be writing a pilot, so and I have to turn this into that. So it'll be an interest. So I'll bring my minds in new ways, but yeah. Hopefully, if all goes well, maybe by the end of next year we'll have something. But it's Hollywood time, and who knows? Right now, everything is thrown in the air because of shoot and stuff right now. Anyway, so
yeah. I think interpreting your own novel, I always find that to be such it's a different process, timeline's different, pacing, all of that, and so it's such a it's really neat to hear like the behind the scenes when that gets going. But in the meantime, it's a psychological thriller. We're certainly not going to give anything away, but set up what the audience can know and no spoilers, of course.
Okay. So it's the story of two young women. One is a con artist. Her name's Nina. And the other one is the heiress to an old West Coast family fortune. Her name's Vanessa. And she's also an Instagram influencer. So that's she's never figured out what to do with her life. She just kind of jets around the world and takes pictures of her fancy lifestyle. And Nina, the con artist, needs a whole lot of money to pay for her mother's cancer bills. And so as she picks her marks, she picks them off of social media and targets people that she finds on Instagram. And she targets Vanessa, moves into Vanessa's guest house in this grand old family estate on the shores of Lake Tahoe. She moves in with her boyfriend, Lachlan, and the two of them have nefarious plans for Vanessa. But then things start to go very sideways and not as planned. And it turns out there's all kinds of intertanglement between the two women that goes back generations and dark family secrets and twisting and turning and changing alliances and things like that. So it's kind of a fun page turner.
And that's the thing we want right now. We want to be taken away and, keeping your readers guessing, which is what I love about your writing and what I come to really be just so enraptured with the psychological thrillers, which is not a genre. Actually, Watch Me Disappear might have been the first book, because that was 3 years ago. That might have been right around when I was like, this is what people are talking about. Now that I think about it, that might have been it. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And you don't know, and you keep getting, because that wasn't my go-to kind of genre. And so hooked, and especially the ones that are, those are the series that I've been watching too. So I love that. So where did the story start for you? You had the characters. There's nothing like a con artist and an error. I mean, right there, it's like a win. So was it character development, or did you have a specific setting or scene, or what got it going?
A couple different things. I always start with a loose idea of story, but then what usually happens, I'll imagine a story, but only very loosely. And then what I start to really think about is character. Mm-hmm. And from the character, the story really comes. Like characters, in my experience, characters define story, right? Because otherwise you're just taking action and shoving people into action. So I knew I kind of wanted to write a con artist story. I was thinking about what would a modern con artist in the era of Instagram do?
Right. Yeah.
And I'd heard about Kim Kardashian getting ripped off by those people who were following her on Instagram, and they broke into her and stole her jewels. So there was that. I was kind of thinking about that. And so I started imagining this young con artist who uses social media. And so I really started to develop this idea of Nina, and who was she, and what's her issue. And I didn't want to make her just like an evil person. I wanted to really think about her as a character. So then I started getting to her mother, Lily, and what's her relationship with her mother. And they kind of came first. And then who would she target? There came Vanessa. And then I started thinking about Vanessa and her story. And I knew I wanted to set it, I've always wanted to set a book at Lake Tahoe, because I spent my summers growing up. My family had a vacation home there. And so summers and winters, actually, I was up there all the time. And I love it up there. It's so beautiful, and it's just so right for a setting, for a book. And I wanted to do something there. And I also wanted to do something a little Gothic. So then I started imagining this big mansion, old mansion on the shores of Lake Tahoe, kind of like a little isolated from the rest of the lake, and them being stuck out there together with like the snow coming down, and this like kind of disintegrating old mansion full of precious antiques that no one cares about anymore. So that's kind of where it all came together. And then everything else came from that.
You set such a great picture. I mean, I can imagine the screenwriting, because you're just, the way you're describing it and setting it in some place that's slightly remote, and a place that has really meaningful time spent there for you, and you would know it intimately, so to be able to write about it. And also the frightening reality of how much we all put obviously online, and how, I mean, it's really, that's fraught. So you bring all that together. And I think you and I went back and forth when I had interviewed Harlan Coben, and he wrote, "Pretty Things is awesome. Simple as that. I loved every page. Janelle Brown is your new must-read author."
Yes, I know. I was like, well, thank you, Harlan.
When we were talking, I hadn't realized that he had blurbed it. But we're talking about books. I think I said, what are you reading? Because that's always a favorite question. It's real original, but it's really important to me. What are you reading? What do you love? And he said, Pretty Things. And I had all my books with me, and I was like, oh my goodness, you mean this book? We hadn't set that up, of course. It was, my beloved books were surrounding me when I was in my upstairs office. I brought them all back down here because I've been relegated to the basement. But it's Pretty Things, out today. It's Janelle Brown's book, and visit janellebrown.com. and follow her on Instagram, Twitter. You've got to watch the video. It was adorable. Will you be doing more videos?
I might. Actually, what I just did today was a funny fashion shoot with my husband of all the outfits I was going to wear.
Oh, that's so fun.
I'm going to upload this to Instagram later. Do an Instagram story with them.
Oh,
maybe I'll do another video. I need to figure out how to do that.
I bring the kids in. Bring everybody in. That's the most fun. I was just talking to John Kenny. He did a cute one on Instagram with his kids while he read a poem to talk about his new book. I love all of that creativity in your house. And I love, right, what I was going to wear on tour. I interviewed one of the authors I interviewed on Zoom, and she was all dressed up, but she said this was what she was going to, made up the whole thing. It was amazing. And she's like, well, I was going to wear this on tour. And I felt so underdressed.
I know. Well, I had a beautiful dress that I bought off the Real. It was like an Oscar de la Renta, like a cape. And I was like, it was a little fancy, but I was like, I'll wear it in New York because, it's New York. And now I'm like, maybe I'll just wear it in my living room.
Why not? I think people have been so inventive with places they were going to be and events that were going to happen and how they could still celebrate it if like maybe the tags were off and it wasn't being returned. But yeah, why not? Like shoot Janelle in the kitchen cooking up eggs in her Oscar de la Renta. Doing it. Before I let you go, what are you reading? And shout outs to books that you have on your stack.
I should have brought my stack up here with me.
Oh, that's
stupid.
okay.
I left it downstairs by my nightstand. But so right now I'm reading The Topeka School by Ben Lerner, which just won the LA Times Book Festival Book Prize, which I've been wanting to read for a long time. I am super excited to start Laura Zigman's new book, Separation Anxiety. It was in my I bought a big pile of books off of from Skylight Books, and I'm like, it's coming. So I've got that. Christopher Boland's new book, A Beautiful Crime, is on its way to me. There's a book that's coming out next week, which I just read, and I just want to talk about so much because it's a debut novelist named Sarah Sliger. Her book's called Take Me Apart, and it's a great psychological thriller. And God, having your debut novel come out in this situation, I mean, it's hard enough for me, and this is my fourth. Right. Like your first novel, come on. I really want to give her a lot of love, and her book is really a really great psychological thriller.
I think I'm next week. I think. She's on my list. Yeah, I think we are. I can't remember what's happening tonight, but I think I do remember. Yes, it's absolutely on my radar. It looks awesome.
And then what else? I have Stray, the new Stephanie Dandler memoir coming. That's awesome. I'm excited about that. She and I share an office actually, usually, but now we can't share the office because the office is closed.
Right.
And what else? I read Danielle Trussoni's new book, The Ancestor. That was a fun, dark Gothic read.
That one I haven't read it yet. This is like baseball cards. Got it, need it, trade it.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, that's where I am right now.
That's an impressive off the top of your head stack because there are so many awesome books, and I agree with you. Debut novels, extra love for those, and so much love for Pretty Things. Don't you want it? Look how pretty it is. And visit JanelleBrown.com. Follow her on Instagram. I'm going to look forward to seeing more videos and in your dress. And all the best to you. And say hi to your family for me. On behalf of A Mighty Blaze, it was a pleasure to have you with us here on Pub Day, Janelle Brown, and we'll be following you. We want to see more Janelle Brown.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Bye-bye.